Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Pleasant good morning to one and all. Today, Wednesday, the 20th of July, 2022. We are here ready and fired up, ready to go. My co-host, Ms. Clinton Conway, is already in the studio waiting for us. So get it on. Let's get it on, as Michael Buffer would say. We have so many things to discuss this morning. And I am sure, once again, you're going to find it very, very interesting. We have a very exciting hour ahead of us. So, you know the drill. Share the live stream. Share the live stream. Let people know that we're on and we are ready to go. I want to say welcome to all the early birds. Dudley, my good friend Dudley from Jamaica. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see Denise is here. Selena, Vibert. Como. Welcome, Como. Natasha is here as well. And Sheila, Squatty Sheila. Welcome, Sheila. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Share the live. We're going to be ready to start. But we don't want anyone to miss. Abiola, welcome. Abiola. George, Conchiman. George, welcome, welcome, welcome. Joel, welcome, Joel. Good to see you on the live. Good to see you on the live. Leon. 10025, Leon, welcome. Joan, welcome, Joan, welcome. Sandra, Andrea, Mario, welcome one and all, welcome. Share the live and we're gonna get started in a short while. As I said, Mr. Conway is here and we are ready to go. Cheryl, good morning, Cheryl. Denise, please note that that guy, I'm not gonna call his name, that guy doesn't see, he's not on the program as yet, so you might want to take the necessary action. Vibert, 1966, Vibert. Oh, you, my friend. I know you and I go a long way back. Chumari, 1969. Then we caught up again at Sparnam in 1973. Welcome, Vibert. Welcome. Good to see you and representing the West Side. So share the live and we're gonna get started. In a short while, we're going to get started. We have so many things to tell you about this morning. Once again, we might be forced to go over time a bit, but I know you're going to, you're not going to be disappointed. You're not going to be annoyed with us for going over time because the information that we are going to be providing you is information that you need to know, and I'm sure that the information that you'll be glad to know of what is going on. So share the live. The numbers are mounting rapidly, but you know, you like to have these latecomers, so you would normally give them a little grace period. I don't want to get like a certain host and tell you, share the blasted live, but I'll tell you, share the live. Fall in, cover down. Let's get ready to rumble. Denise, I want to know what you're going to deal with that chap that is late today. 5 minutes past, so he had a grace period of 5 minutes. I need to know what you are going to do with him. I think the CV thing and walking. Oh, he's here. Derek, welcome. Lynette, welcome. Lenny, welcome, Lenny. And wasn't you I was referring to, Lenny? So if you believe that I was referring to you, then no, I wasn't referring to you. Floyd, welcome. And all those forces who are here, Sister Trifosa, regular, welcome. BV representing. Let me hear where you're from. All those forces who are here, I see somebody in California here. Brooklyn in the house. Many others are here. Somebody's saying that Facebook is giving them lots of issues. Facebook is blocking notification. Yes, I realize that. Other programs that I would view in the evenings and in the morning, I'm no longer getting the notifications, so something is going around. Welcome, Westside. But you know, they can't stop us. The news, the information will be passed on, and we're going to use every avenue to pass on the information. Welcome from Virginia. Welcome, Barrington, Barbara from Virginia. New Amsterdam in the house. Brooklyn, New York in the house. Yes, Afghanistan. Someone from all the way in Afghanistan in the house. Welcome, my brother. Welcome. And share the live. The numbers are still running up rapidly. But let's give the others a little bit more time because we don't want them to miss anything. We don't want them to miss anything. So good morning again, one and all. And as we would say, we have to give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. We have to give praise and thanks. We know so many persons might not have made it, definitely not have made it all through the night. So the fact that we are here and we can interact, we can view this program and we can interact, we have to be very, very thankful. BV in the house, country people, yeah, BV, Colleen, welcome. Welcome. And somebody else said Lamar Springs in the house. Lamar Springs in the house. And welcome all. Essequibo present. Essequibo present. And late but present. Yes, Tessa, I know I expect you to be present, even though you're late. And that is, as we would say, that is mitigation. We're going to take into consideration your past good conduct. And you're not likely to be, you're going to be given a warning. Because, once you get a warning, according to the police disciplinary code, a warning is not a conviction. So we're going to just perhaps not even enter you into the warning book. We're going to just give you an oral warning. And we know that you have good conduct. You have been present and punctual all of the time. So this morning that you're a little late, we are not going to take any serious action against you. Somebody here from Aubrey from Union Square, Long Island in the house, Union Square, Belgium, West Coast Barbies in the house, Belgium in the house. So let's give praise and thanks to being here. Let's give praise and thanks to being here. And I think we have a nice number that now we can jump in and we can get started. Jacko from Corriverton, man, welcome. Welcome, Jacko. Enjoy the breeze. We have someone, Emerson from Canarsie, Brooklyn, in the house. So we are well represented. We are well represented. So I got a old core, Sydney old core in the house. And for those of you who don't know, when we talk about old core, we're talking about people who are members of the Guyana Youth Corps. See, my squaddy just came in. Squaddy, you're going to get fined, You'll get fined. Frankie, you're a little late. You're a little late. Lado, you're late. So we got to find you. Delaware in the house. Lado, welcome. You too, like Tessa, we're going to be lenient on you because you're always been here and you've always been punctual. So, warning book. No charge sheet. Just a warning book. Pleasance is in the house. Queens in the house. Fitzroy from Queens in the house. Now, let me bring in Mr. Conway so that we can get started with all the many things that we have to talk about this morning. Let's bring in CC. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning to you, Paul. Welcome to all our viewers. I'm happy to be in the land of the living. God has been great to us. So let's get on with it, Paul.
Yes, let's get on. Let's get on with it. We got Neil in the house, man. Old traffic chief Neil just said that he's in the house. Welcome, Neil. Welcome. Now, CC, where do we start? I think the place that I want to start is I noted in the newspaper a few days ago an unfortunate incident where a policeman on West Demerara, I think his name is Edmundston, from Regional Police Division 3, that is West Coast, formerly D Division. The story goes that he's a traffic rank. He was on his motorcycle and he saw a driver of a canter that appeared to, and he stopped him and asked him for his driver's license. The driver drove away. So the policeman chased after him and the driver apparently drove into his residence. When he got there, the father of the driver and the driver's sister came out and confronted the police, and there was some altercation, and it is said by the Police Corporate Communication Unit. Let me tell you what they say, The Police Corporate Communication said that the Edmonton chased behind and apprehended the driver at his residence in Anna Katerina, where the driver's father and sister allegedly held on to the police, and the canter driver picked up a piece of brick. Let me say it again. The canter driver picked up a piece of brick.
Are you saying a piece of brick, Paul?
Well, let me say something, man. I quoted what the Police Corporate Communication. Let me read it back again, man. They said where the driver's father and sister allegedly held on to the police, held on to Edmonton, and the canter driver picked up a piece of brick and threw it towards Lance Corporal Edmonton, which hit him to his right eye, causing him to receive injuries. Now, the first thing I want to hope that to say that I hope that this policeman is getting all the necessary treatment he deserves, and that the law will take its full course. Because you know what has happened in some of these cases? Somebody calls somebody and then the whole thing get cooked up. That is the word I learned recently. I listened to a program recently and the man was describing the police cookering up the matter. So you know what is going to happen? Next thing you know, the matter cookering up and nothing comes out of it. But the man is injured. He's struck in his eye. I think he was hospitalized. I want to take this opportunity to wish him a speedy recovery. But perhaps you can explain to me what is a piece of brick, man. See?
You gotta go back to the unit by brick is brick.
This is the same unit that had said they took a decomposed body to be pronounced dead, So you can't put nothing beyond them. If you took a decomposed body to be pronounced dead, of course, a piece of brick is part of your lexicon. A piece of brick is part of the way you describe things. But they must know what they're saying. But I have to make a comment on that, make a note that the man picked up, according to the police cooperative communication unit, become a piece of brick and threw it towards the policeman and injured him in his eye. I think you would want to join me in wishing that policeman a speedy recovery.
Yes, Paul.
All right. So, Dexter, this is no joke, I see Dexter laughing out loud. These people watching these programs with the intention of calling you out. Maybe you say something wrong and then they're going to want to march you up the court. So when I see these things, I make notes, I make copies so that when I repeat it here, I am reading exactly what they are alleged to have said. And I repeat, according to the release from the unit, the driver picked up a piece of brick and threw it towards the policeman and struck him in his eye. That is what they're saying. I ain't making this thing up. Our biome is not selling out. I ain't making no profit on this thing. So it's a piece of brick. I can get some more definition and perhaps next week I'm going to explain to you what piece of brick is. But right now, it escapes my comprehension what is piece of brick. As a countryman, I should know about brick. I should know because I know in the days as a worthless little boy, you pelt a lot of people, pelt brick at a lot of people's house. You pelt a lot of people with brick. So I don't know what this piece of brick thing. But that's what they're saying. Now moving on, CC. I saw a video on the social media, a very disturbing video with a person who appears to be dressed, and I'm choosing my language carefully, you would note that I'm choosing my language very, very carefully. A person who appears to be dressed in the uniform of a TSU rank and wearing one chevron, or they say one stripe, picked up a bar of chocolate, put it in his pocket, and the people are going crazy on social media saying that the police thief the chocolate in the shop. Police dressed the uniform, thief the chocolate, people calling for his dismissal, people saying last he walk over a bar of chocolate and all of that. But let me invite you to make your comments on this. First of all, did you see the video?
I saw the video, but the thing is that nothing wrong picking up a piece of chocolate and put it in your pocket, Paul. If you didn't go to the cashier or you pass the cashier and go straight out of the building, then it's a case of larceny. But picking up and put it in your bag or put it in your pocket, there's no offenses being committed here.
Well, let me teach, this is teaching time because it's the same thing occurred to me. I am not defending, let me understand this thing clearly. I am not attempting to defend any illegal action, but I'm saying that based on what was seen on the video, the policeman he acted very, very suspiciously, or I shouldn't say the policeman because we had no for certain as a policeman, but the man who appeared to be a policeman acted very, very suspiciously because he was looking around. He picked up the chocolate in a very surreptitious manner and put it in the pocket. So people jumped to the conclusion that he thieved in the chocolate. Let me get real. They say he thieved in the chocolate. But in terms of teaching for the policemen who are on this live, based on what you saw there alone, you can't convict, you can't get this man, As Mr. Conway pointed out, a lead simple larceny, you have to wait until he get past the cashier and he went outside. Then you would have been able to infer, or not even infer, you were able to prove that he had no intention to pay for this charge. Because we talk about simple larceny. And the definition, I remember it all the years, the definition for larceny is that a person steals who without claim of right makes in good faith, made in
Takes,
good faith,
takes
takes
in
and carries away anything
anything
capable of
capable
being
of being
stolen
stolen.
with intent at such time of taking permanently to deprive the owner thereof.
You
Yes,
know,
I know the definition. All the way back in 1974, I didn't forget it. So you saw the act of taking. They used to call when you go into the let's say asportation,
transportation, yeah.
asportation, and then carries away. Anything capable of being stolen, they say something capable of being stolen must have value. So the
Value, yeah.
chocolate have value. So when you get to it, you will say the chocolate value so much. You have to establish. And importantly, that's where the mens rea, the state of mind comes in. You have to prove that at the time he intended to deprive the owner permanently of the chocolate.
Yeah.
Those are the elements. And I'm saying that he picked it up, as Mr. Conway said, put it in the pocket. For all you know, when the man reached to the cashier, the man take out the chocolate and the man pays. So you ain't get it. But when he passed through the cashier without paying, offense established. Offense established. He acted suspiciously. He looked like he guilty of something. But I'm just saying for those people who have been saying that they find this program so informative and so educational, I'm just saying that based on what we saw alone on the video, you can't get here. Don't jump the gun. You ain't get here. Because even if when he put the chocolate in his pocket, you were to arrest him there and then on the spot. Case not established. What do you say, CC?
True, that's true. You're quite correct. You sound like a real senior counsel here.
We were well taught, We were well taught. We were well taught. When it comes to simple larceny, when it comes to burglary, and it came to those things, we were well taught. So you know that when you look at the tape, the man look around in a very suspicious manner. He pick up the chocolate and he put it in the left pocket, right? So if you were to move in there and then, let me say the security there, observing the same video that we saw from the CCTV and move in and arrest him, case gone overboard.
True.
Case gone overboard, case not established. Because the man said, well, look, I had intention of paying. How do you prove that he did not intend to pay? You can only prove that he did not intend to pay when he moved past the cashier and went outside. Because remember, I've been preaching over and over on this program that suspicion, no matter how strong, is not evidence. And in this case, the action was highly suspicious. Highly suspicious. But suspicion by itself is just that, suspicion, not evidence. So take all the young policemen who are there, made note, and in terms of simple larceny, how you in something like that, and not, shoplifting as you would call it. In the case of shoplifting, how you go about. There are some exceptions, There are some exceptions. This program is this morning is not to deal exclusively with shoplifting, but there are some exceptions because, for example, you have those professional shoplifters who will come and put things in the clothing. Women put things under the clothes. Men stuff it in the pants. That alone is can be prima facie that they intended to steal the item, because if you put it under your clothes, if you put it down your crotch of your pants, then any reasonable person will want to believe that you had no intention of paying. That is why you were concealing the item. So that is part of the lesson for this morning. The next subject I wanted to see, Mr. Conway, CC, I saw you wrote a beautiful letter relating to the issue with the trailing of the opposition leader by members of the Guyana Police Force. So tell us something about that.
All right, let me start with the investigation first. And as I recall reading and talking to persons, is that the OPR conducted the investigation. And the OPR is headed by an assistant superintendent, and he was promoted to deputy soup. The OPR, the assistant superintendent, investigated a superintendent of police. And let me read what the Police Discipline Act says about investigation of offenses against discipline. And this is section 5.1. Every alleged commission of an offense against discipline under this act shall be investigated as soon as practicable by a member of the force not below the rank of sergeant and of higher rank than the member of the force who is alleged to have committed the offense. And if I move on to section 5.3, it said the investigating officer shall, as soon as practicable, inform the member of the force alleged to have committed the offense against discipline in writing in a language he understands of the offense which he is alleged to have committed, and the particulars of the facts constituting the offense, and of his right to refuse to make any written or oral statement to the investigating officer unless he otherwise desire. Now, the thing is that if you're investigating, you must be a rank higher than the rank who is alleged to have committed the offense. And during the course of the investigation, you need to inform the rank in writing, in simple language, and language that you understand, what is it you are investigating, talking about the particulars of the offense. In this instance, an assistant superintendent investigated a superintendent. In this instance, the superintendent was not served with a notice. He was not told of the offense that is alleged that he has committed. And we're talking about the right to be heard. And it is a God-given right, as I always say. I remember reading the Bible when Adam and Eve, it is alleged that they committed themselves. Although the Lord knew what took place, he didn't pass judgment on them. He called them and asked them what play out before passing judgment. And it talks about the right to be heard. It is a God-given right, and we must not take away that right from anybody. And in this case, it did not happen. As junior rank, very junior rank, investigated a senior thing. And apart from that, persons in authority who handled that file did not detect those fatal errors committed by the investigating rank and recommended that the superintendent be charged. And if I may go back to the whole issue of the way they say he was tracking or stalking the leader of the opposition, he being the deputy commander of the region 4C, where it is alleged that he gave instructions to junior ranks to track him. We all know, Paul, and all the commanders, I don't know if these junior ones know, that all the lead police have been checking on all the opposition leader, from Jagan to Height to Corbin. You just name them. To Jagde also admitted that he was being tracked. He said camera was placed in his office. A special branch man was placed in his office. Woe be to any commander who, if a leader of the opposition goes into his district and had discussions with the person there on topical issues, and the commander cannot be able to accurately and timely report, they do, and I can say so without fear of being contradicted, they do check on the leader of the opposition, but they do it in a matter that wouldn't be detected, that I use plainclothes ranks, not ranks in uniform as the case may be. And I'm certain, I want to believe that Superintendent Roberts was told, hey, make sure them by track the leader of the opposition, make sure they follow you, as the case may be, and report to us. That has been going on from since in Jagan time right on to the present time. But my point is that they have fatally breached the Police Discipline Act. And if they don't have an act, they can go to the Attorney General office. It's $200 for an act, discipline act. It's $300 for Police Act. So $500 can give you a Police Act and a Police Discipline Act. And I must admit that the persons at the library of the Attorney General office, very, very courteous And even the finance department is very, very efficient and effective. Buy the books, read them, digest what is there. So it is alarming. I can't find words to describe that a junior man, a very junior man, will investigate a senior man. If it's like with a criminal nature, it doesn't call for ranks. A constable can investigate an assistant commissioner. But that is what is going on in the police force, Paul.
No, well said, well said. And I want to make this point to our listeners to understand clearly. The allegation, based on what we have seen, is that the opposition leader, Mr. Norton, was in the division, and he was followed by ranks, I think on two sets of ranks. One set in a vehicle. When he confronted them, asked them why they were following him. The ones in the vehicle did not answer. And then later by ranks on two ranks on the motorcycle who it is alleged to have told him that they were following instructions. Now, if you're going to investigate that, you're going to investigate who gave instructions to follow the opposition leader. That is not, in my view, a criminal investigation. So let's understand it clearly. It is not a criminal investigation. It's an investigation perhaps to determine whether procedures, the force orders and standing orders were followed. So immediately from the outset, it was discipline, a disciplinary matter in nature. And the law is clear on that. And as Mr. Conway pointed out, and CC, you know, and others know, I used to lecture on that for years at the training school. I used to be one of the main facilitators when it came to the Police Discipline Act. And Section 5.3 of the Act is very clear as to who can investigate. And without even referencing any note, I can tell you, it says clearly that first you have to be of the rank of sergeant to investigate an offense against discipline. And it went on to state that in any event, you have to be higher in rank than the person who is alleged to have committed the breach of discipline. So therefore, even though they said sergeant, if a sergeant commits himself, a sergeant cannot investigate. It has to be higher, inspector and above. In this case, you have a superintendent in the name of Roberts who they're investigating. And therefore, according to the Police Discipline Act, the person to conduct the investigation must be a senior superintendent and above, not an assistant superintendent who is in charge of Office of Professional Responsibility. Cannot happen. The law is clear about that. And then it goes on to say that even before, because they understand that the officer, the superintendent might have been asked to give statement and all of that. Wrong, egregious violation, fatal violation of the Act, because the Act makes it clear that before any statement is requested, you have to supply him with a notice, what we call a breach of discipline notice under Section 5.3 of the Police Discipline Act, Chapter 1701, to say that you are hereby informed that I'm investigating a report of breach of discipline made against you, and then you're going to allege what the breach of discipline you're investigating is, and then you go on to tell the person of the right under the said Act 5.3 to refuse to make any written or oral statement unless he or she so desires. That is the law, and therefore this thing with this investigation fatal from the outset. And let me say this: I know from experience how these things go. The fact that this matter has gained wide publicity in and perhaps even outside of Guyana, Fernando Sancho is going to come riding in. What do I mean by that? They are going to try to cowboy the officer. But I say to the officer, and I say to all those others who are complaining of being cowboyed, and many others have complained of being cowboyed, you have to be prepared to defend yourself, even if you have to go to the courts. And this is not promoting indiscipline. I have a reputation. I had a reputation over the years. Those people who work with me, those people know me, that I don't tolerate indiscipline. And so when I say that you have to defend yourself, even if it requires going to the court, you have to do so, because, Mr. Conway, you would remember when we were the Police Service Commission, an allegation was made against Karim Bash. It was investigated. He was charged, and he went to court to challenge the whole process. That is his right. These people, you have the right. You will recall even later when the promotion issue in 2020, Brutus and others went to court and challenge. So I'm saying to the persons involved, including Roberts and others, that if an attempt is made to cover you, you have to explore all your options, including taking the matter to court. It is up to you. And again, I say this is not promoting indiscipline. This is making sure that the rule of law is followed. Because if you are going to violate the rights of police ranks, these are members of the force who are working under you, who are working with you. And if you're going to violate their right so badly, imagine what you're going to do to the civilians. And so, therefore, that is what I'm saying, that people have to stand up for their rights. And you made a point about the file passing through senior posters and they did not see that. Some of them don't know. The reality is that many of them sit in positions and would not recognize these things. Now that we've talked about it, I guess they're going to also to do all sorts of magic. They're going to do all sorts of gymnastic to try to see if they can remedy this situation. But I don't think the situation has any remedy in terms of proceeding to charge. Any remedy, as I see it, is to discontinue this whole disciplinary proceedings. Mr. Conway?
Um, you should have mentioned, Paul, that Karimbash, Brutus, and others who took us to court, they lost the case, you know.
Well, yes, all because it came.
Yeah,
Right,
already.
Karim Bosch took us to court because he said that the Police Service Commission violated his rights during the course of the whole process. That matter was thrown out at the full court, at the Supreme Court. I understand that the matter. Well, I know for a fact that the matter was appealed. We don't know what is the outcome of that. And then in the Calvin Brutus case, he was joined by Chevron Jupiter. Stanley, Rabindranath Stanley. He was joined by the man who was at training. He's on the Essequibo coast now. He was joined by Prem Narain. They all joined in that matter. They all joined in that matter. Chief Prasad Bakas I'm referring to. They all joined in that matter. And the matter, on the 28th of June last year, the Chief Justice threw out the matter. So the point is that you have a right to challenge these matters. You have a right to challenge. And if you believe that your rights under the Act, as we pointed out, are being violated, and the people that we don't want to follow the law, they don't want to do what is the correct thing, then take it to the next level. Take it to the next level. Let's understand this clearly. Because I understand too, in the same vein, that you have people, the man who sits in the chair of admin there and others, are seeking to discipline inspectors and officers. They are seeking to discipline them. But the Constitution is clear, Article 211.1 is clear, that once you're an inspector to assistant commissioner, the Police Service Commission, the body responsible for promotion and discipline. So the man or those who sit in the chair, even the man who sits in the chair of the commissioner, does not have the authority to discipline any rank between inspector and assistant commissioner. That is the Constitution. People might say, well, they don't like it, but that is what it is. Whether you like it or not, that is what the Constitution says. And we are reminded that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, even though in recent times people seem to believe that the Constitution does not matter. Mr. Conway?
I agree. Well, let's just, before we move on from the topic, let's just go back to the OPR. I remember when the OPR was formed. It was done with the assistance of, we call it ICITAP, International Criminal Investigation Technical Assistance Program, a branch of the Department of Justice of the US. And when it was established, we had an assistant commissioner there, there's Wales. Then we had Jamir, another assistant commissioner. And when we took over, as members of the Police Service Commission, we discovered that a former crime chief was there as a head. And we discovered that he wasn't a police. Therefore, he had no authority to investigate breaches of discipline. And we wrote about it. And we said we weren't going to accept anything coming from him because he was not the police. And they said he must be a member of the force. And I think they waited until his contract had expired and they did not renew it. But now we gone down to assistant superintendent. Now we're telling me that they might be saying that only inspectors and others would be committing offenses. But senior officers, assistant commissioners will commit offense. Therefore, the person who hold in the position head of the OPR has got to be high ranking, or he cannot investigate misconduct by certain members of the force.
Well said. Well said. And you know, even and again for educating these persons that, even members of the OPR must remember Section 5.3 of the Police Discipline Act, Chapter 1701, which clearly states that you have to provide the person with a breach of discipline notice. So if you start out an investigation which is disciplinary in nature, you have to comply with Section 5.3 of the Act. This is not a case where maybe someone comes to the station and make a report of an assault, a policeman assault, and that is not a disciplinary matter at the beginning. It might be recommended later that disciplinary action should be taken against the rank. But when it started out, it did not start out as a disciplinary investigation. It started out as a criminal investigation, which is different. But if a report is made, let's say, which is the most prevalent report I understand against rank, neglected duty. Neglected duty is a disciplinary matter, caters for under Section 4E of the Police Discipline Act, and therefore you have to make sure that you comply with the 1701, 5.3 of 1701. So you need to understand this, and once you do that, then you're not going to get into the state where this thing is fatally flawed. And it is disappointing that these things will pass through various levels and they don't recognize and seek to correct it. Well, let's move on. Let's move on. That discussion came about because of the letter you wrote in respect of this matter. Now, I had cause to write a letter. I think it is now published yesterday, today again in the People, because I saw an attempt to rename the Felix Austin Police College to the Guided Police Force Academy. This academy, you spend a lot of years in training, a lot of years at the training school, and then at the FAPC. What are your views on that proposed change?
Like you, Paul, I am really disappointed. You don't change for change's sake, and you don't want to distort history or cast history aside. You mentioned about the person that the college was named after. That was done after careful consideration. Felix Austin, you mentioned the first Guyanese commissioner, and the college was named after him. I understand they're hosting for what they call accreditation, but we're going to discuss accreditation at another level. Changing the name doesn't mean to say that you will up the level of performance of the college, as the case may be. It's total nonsense, unacceptable. I can't even find words to describe it. And not only that, because if you're going to change George Young, you got to change Bobby's too. Because Bobby's has Felix Austin Police College B Division. And that has a history. That was Larry Lewis' time. I remember Larry Lewis when he became commissioner in 1990. He went there and he saw a lot of old buildings. He saw a lot of trees going in the place. And he told Winston Felix, who was commander then, I'm going to do some training in this place. And Felix said, sorry, you're going to do jungle training? He said, no, I'm going to establish a place of excellence here. I'm going to establish a training college here. And he named it Felix Austin Police College B Division. That is when Larry Lewis tested the will of the people in terms of giving support to the police. That's when persons contributed millions of dollars to establish that college. And I remember we were there too. We had Desmond Hyde, the president, open that college. When I returned as commanded Bobbies, the place broken down. And I went to the Central Quarantine Chamber of Commerce. Not like all the man sitting in Sigma the other day and had a discussion with them. And they and others, I remember Imran, I remember Rafiq, I remember Rosa Tong, Youth and Sports Organization, and business people. And they contributed over $13 million in materials and money and everything there to rebuild that college, rebuild it without a cent from the government. And they named the block there after me, Clinton Conway Block. Subsequently, Silal Prasad established another block and they named it Silal Prasad Block. I heard they got up the other day and they decided that, hey, they're going to take down Clinton Conway name from the block, but they're going to have Silal Prasad name on the thing there. I know why they don't go to West Demerara and take down a name from a certain titled facility. But the thing is, you don't change a name for namesake, as the case may be, right? And you don't distort history. People must know our history. And I agree with you to taking on the mantle that they must not change it. It must remain as it is. Maybe they could read Felix Austin Police Academy. I agree with that. But don't take away Felix Austin altogether. No way. It's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong.
Well, I agree, and that is what I wrote in the letter. Why? And as you know, I was a little amused this morning when I read a little piece from Starbrook News, because following the publication of the letter, my letter, Starbrook News said that they reached out to the Police Corporate Communication Unit, couldn't reach the person who's in charge. They reached out to the second person who said that he wasn't aware of this issue. And then they reached out to the man who sits in the chair of admin. And he said that he has no comment to make and abruptly hung up the phone. That is what Starbrook News said today. But again, as I made the point, I have to point out who was Felix Austin. I noted too, and I encouraging the reader, because in today's Starbrook News, Mr. Ravi Dev wrote a letter and speaks a little bit more about Felix Austin. He brought in the political side and said that Felix Austin spent a year because Bonham, he wasn't pliable. Bonham wanted it to promote some people and he did not agree. And then Bonham manufactured something, get the law changed. And I encourage persons to go to Starbrook News and read the letter from Mr. Ravi Dev. And but that, even what Mr. Ravi Dev has said, it is my view, supports the point. We are talking here about the first commissioner after independence, the first Guyanese commissioner after independence. Some people have said the first Guyanese commissioner. I don't think that is correct. The research showed that the first Guyanese commissioner might have been Mr. Weber. Weber, again, after whom the police library was named, but he was before independence. But after independence, the first Guyanese commissioner was Mr. Austin, Mr. Felix Austin. And as you rightly said, a lot of thought was put into it, and it was renamed the Felix Austin Police College from the Police Training School. And like you, I am of the view that if you want to change, if you want to up to an academy, and it's not, academy is not just the name change. It has to do with the curriculum. It has to do with a whole other stuff. But if you're going to change, why then not say the Felix Austin Police Academy? And I made the point, because I'm a lover of comedy shows, comedy movies. And in the 80s, there was one of my favorite comedy movies, the Police Academy series. Very, very hilarious. With the commander name, Mr. Commander Lassard. And I encourage the younger ones who are not familiar, if you want to get a good laugh, just pull up on YouTube or something like that. Police Academy. I think there were 6 movies in the series. You're going to get a good laugh if you want to enjoy yourself, the Police Academy. So maybe they're going into the comedy business. Maybe they are going into the comedy business. But it is worrying that you're trying to just erase history and everybody jumping and dancing. You know, in the Ghana Police Force, many things have not been named after people, you know. Many things have not. You have the Felix Austin Police College. You have the library, John Campbell Library. I refer to sorry, not the library, John Campbell Museum. The library was Ronald Weber.
Ronald Weber.
Yeah, then we had the mess, like Barker Hall, at the top western side there, because like Barker, it was said he was a man who frequented the mess. That was named after him. And recently recently we had the toilet block named after Mr. Watts. So what did they gonna? And some people have said, some people have commented that perhaps that was appropriately named. So I don't know if they're gonna change that as well. But imagine having a toilet block name after you, and if you don't change that, why want to change the take away the name from the Felix Austin name from the college? It's really, really sad. And of course, we had also the Essequibo College, named after Corporal Richard Feichel. And some people say sergeant, but no, at the time of his death, he was a corporal and he was posthumously promoted to sergeant by Mr. Lewis, who was a commissioner at the time. And coming back to the Felix Austin Police College, Bobbies, yes, I was there. As a matter of fact, when Mr. Lewis visited, Forrest visited, I was the man from the TSU who he took with him when he went and notified the inspection. I used to go there to look after the drills and the arms and all of that. We went there with him. And as you rightly pointed out, at the opening ceremony there, Mr. Oik, President Oik himself, went there to open that college. And part of the reasons why Mr. Lewis wanted the college in Bobbies was because he wanted to decentralize training, and because people on the quarantine were reluctant to travel to Georgetown to join the force and to be away from home for that length of period. And the reason that if you have a college in Bobbies where families would have been able to come and visit, and people, when they get the pass, we call it the pass in the evening pass, can go to the resident, that would encourage people to join. And that college has a strong history because many persons joined. People like, I know, David Ramnarine, Simon McBean, I think the same Watts, and all of those persons joined the police college B division.
Bodram too.
Bodram joined there too. So a lot of people, and they are the ones who should really stand up and support the persons who saying the name should not be changed. A lot of people came out. Well, even the change, changing the name for what reason? What reason? You're moving from college to the academy. So why remove Felix Austin from it? Why remove Felix Austin? I hope this matter gains a lot of discussion, and the people who are responsible for this proposed name change will give some reasonable explanation, because the one given by the corporate communication unit in today's paper and making no sense. It ain't making no sense, and as they say, you got to reel and come again, reel and come again. CC.
I agree with you, and you forgot to mention that the force commandant was one Clinton Conway, eh? So don't start history.
Well, look, you see, yeah, I remember that. I remember that very, very well, because I remember we had a big ceremonial parade for the opening, and the man who was identified for the opening of the parade was the man stationed at Wim. I can't remember his name now.
I won't call his name, is my friend.
And you remember the comedy? Well, then you will know the comedy that ensued. Yeah. The comedy that ensued at the last moment, we had to replace him, and I think it was Michael Samasal is the man we put to take the parade, because I had the royal run around trying to get this man to understand how parades are conducted, and Swan and Lilo is there, cussing and all stuff. There was another famous incident at that ceremony, which is Squaddy, who they now free, because at the end of the parade, you had the lowering of the flags. And I think the police flag, the national flag, the division flag were being lowered. And they were being lowered in time to the reveille, the police, the bugle, the band blowing, and they had to do it very, very slowly in timing with that. And Capri was there. I think he was what? He might have been the sergeant or the inspector. I can't remember what.
Inspector.
He was there supervising that. And somebody was pulling it down too quickly. And he under his breath, under his teeth, he was trying to tell them to go slowly, and he used one or two expletives, but the thing was so quiet that the thing filtered out. And I suspect even the president might have heard it and prayed and pretended that he did not hear. But that place had long history. Even before then, that was a TSU base, if you remember correctly. Yes. TSU base Adventure in the late 70s. TSU had a unit that went up there and remained there all the time. So don't let me remove history from this thing. Now the next day, I also saw and ad in the paper. You know, when you retire, you get a lot of time to read papers and to see all these things. That the police are advertising for carpenters, mason, and the like painters, because they're saying they're now trying to strengthen the construction section and to branch out, get branches of the construction section in the division. Now that surprised me. I know why it surprised me, because when we were looking at the reform some years ago, the people who did all the studies felt that those things should not be part of the. You should have not sworn policemen doing that type of function. And here it is, they're advertising. I know they're going to want to say, well, they're going to make them police. But the system, as it is, the persons who are in the police construction section doing carpentry, doing painter, they are full-fledged bona fide police, either in the regular or in the special constabulary. So where are they going? Where are they going? Are they going backwards? CC?
Police should really get rid of all those functions and concentrate on their core functions. We're in an economic boom, Paul, and with the oil and gas and all the major constructions, all the things that would be going on in the next couple of years, police got to get manpower, and they got to be able to police this economy, this rising economy, where the manpower is going to come from. And then you're hosting about carpentry. I heard the man in the seat talking about decentralizing the workshop and all those places. They should get rid of all those places. Concentrate on your core function. You mentioned in a program some time ago that the police doing road painting and all kind of nonsense. And they need to make sure that they do some forward planning. And by the way, they're talking about strategic plan 2022, 2026, and they don't have a strategic plan. They piggybacking on Capital Simmons thing. I dare them, let them produce a copy of the 2022, 2026 strategic plan. Let them produce a copy of that. They're bluffing and bluffing and bluffing. And I remember Abraham Lincoln said, you can fool some of the people all of the time, and all of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all of the people all of the time.
Well, let me say this. Let me say this. Again, just to show, I mean, they come up with these things and they believe people are not going to examine it, because they one of the problems now, I think the vice president or someone indicated that you have a problem with labor in the country.
Yeah.
They said that you have a problem with labor. Now, if you have a problem with labor, you tell me who is going to join the police force to be a carpenter or a painter for $60,000 or $70,000 a month, when perhaps people can go outside, if you have the type of skill, and be employed for far more than that with less stress. So I don't really know what type of thinking these people are going on, or whether they just got a brainwave. Somebody get up in the morning and say, oh, look, we're going to do this. And the others are so pliant and don't have a brain of their own that they jump and say, yes, we're going to do it. But where are you going to find not only carpenters and painters, but even regular policemen now, given what is going on in the economy, right? Everybody wants to work with extra, and everybody wants to work with places where you can get better pay, better remuneration. Where are you going to find these people to recruit in the force? And if you're talking about carpenters, you're talking about skilled persons, carpenters, masons, painters, where are you going to find them from? Even if they're willing to come, what are you going to pay them? Some of those questions they have to answer. They have to answer some of those questions, or else it ain't making sense. The thing ain't making no sense. Or some people say we big, but we ain't stupid. It's just sloganeering all the time. Just sloganeering, you come up with this slogan, you come up with that slogan, and then it goes nowhere. It goes nowhere. Now, another disturbing thing, and this perhaps is one of the most disturbing things I have seen since these pretenders are in the seat. I was shocked and horrified the other day when I saw a photograph on social media of members of the police special branch. Let me repeat that. I saw a photograph on social media with members of the police special branch posing with the installed chairman of the Police Service Commission and the head of special branch. Did you see that, CC?
I was shocked because for me, special branch must be sacrosanct. That in our days, even frightened to watch the building. And there's it, the illegal installed chairman of the Police Service Commission, a bishop, making an illegal and I must say ungodly entry into special branch, having discussion with the head and others. And there's it, 20 photographs of 21 special branch operatives. I think they blow all of them covers. 21 of them in it in the social media on the bishop Facebook page. Special branch is sacrosanct. They are the undercover people. People must not even know them. But there you have it, 21 of them. I saw it and I couldn't believe it. I had to watch it several times. What is the bishop doing there? What is he doing in that building? Even senior police officers don't even want to go in there. But he and 21, and then you expose it. It gone viral. It gone international. That place is, I can't find the words, it's sacrosanct, and you cannot expose all of them, and they expose them. People must even know them. In the days, I understand, when it was real special branch, you in one office and a man in another office, you don't even know him. You don't even know what he's doing. More so you have the installed chairman there. And I heard a story, and that several years ago, the then Home Affairs Minister, can't remember his name, but he decided to pay a visit to special branch, and the commissioner got word of it. So he turned up the same time, commissioner turned up the same time with the head of special branch. And I could call the special branch head was James Mentor. And they took them into a waiting room. And Mentor went there and he said, Minister, you come. Commissioner, you sit down there. And Mentor went into his office and had discussion with the minister. Then he came back and the commissioner and the minister left. That is how special branch must operate. But now you're exposing everybody.
You're correct. You're correct. You know, over the last weekend, I met a former member of the force, female former member. She was telling me she used to be at CID headquarters and was once sent across to the branch, what we used to call the flat building, with a file. And when she got in there, she is put into a room. Can't go in. You're put into a waiting room, and you have to sit there and wait. And when they're ready to come and they take the file, you can't go past that room. And again, you know, some of these things, because back in the days of special branch, if you look now on Camp Road, between opposite QC, that's between Parade Street going north, vehicles are parked on the western side, just outside special branch. Back in the day, that could not happen because people feel that people are going to be there with listening devices and all this type of thing, or to observe courses who are coming in and going out. That was not allowed. But now, anything goes. Anything goes. Anything. I understand that from time to time you're going to have change. Change is something that is constant. But the changes must make sense. The changes should be for the better. But when you have members of your... And remember, these special branch runs would not have gone there on their own to take photograph, because I'm sure many of them know better. I am sure they would have been instructed to come and take a photograph with the chairman, and they obey, they comply, and the head of the branch is there. But what do you expect? The head of the branch was on the East Coast on the 28th of last month. The man himself was on the East Coast. It was the 28th, I think it was, firing shots indiscriminately. The man was leading the police unit, the police riot unit, dealing with the demonstration. The head of special branch was there himself. So we ought not to have been police with all that surprise when we saw the photograph. But even though we were, I think I was, and you indicated that you were. So where are we going? Where are we going, Cici? You tell me, ma. Where are you going? Where are we going?
Well, just to come back with that incident, that fiasco on the East Coast, where the head of the special branch was there with the right head in the right unit, discharging wrong, giving orders. And they say that is intelligence-led policing because the head of the special branch, the head of the intelligence service was leading the thing. So it's
It's literally, this is
intelligence-led
it.
policing.
They are speaking literally there, no figure of speech. They're speaking literally. Now, you know, the time is all gone already. There's one other issue that I want us to discuss this morning. Once again, we see big in the headline or big in the paper, this miscarriage of justice. When will this thing end? And I refer here to a matter that came up in court sometime, I think it was last week, where, let me read what the thing says. Miscarriage of justice, the case of Raymond Jones of Mykobi, Potaro, Region 9. This is the man who was charged with murder in December of 2012. And recently, as within the last week, the judge had to remark that this is a travesty. This is a let me read what the judge said. Let me read it here, because I don't want to you talk about a miscarriage of justice. The Justice Kisun referred to the case as a grave tragedy. According to the judge, months after the committal and depositions from the preliminary inquiry were sent to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions in April 2015, a letter was sent by the DPP to the presiding magistrate to correct identifiable mistakes. The judge further pointed out that 7 years after the directive from the DPP, the presiding magistrate, who he did not name, had failed to comply with an order in relation to the matter given by his court last year. He went on, and according to the Stabrook News now, Stabrook News said the legal farce deepened on Saturday. They referred to Saturday last, when the DPP's chamber made the shocking disclosure that Mr. John had not even been formally indicted for murder since the conclusion of the preliminary inquiry in 2015. The DPP's chamber seems more concerned with underlining that the judge did not quash the indictment, rather than accounting for the scandalous failure of the criminal justice system in relation to Mr. Jones. The DPP chambers did say, however, that it wrote to the magistrate in question thrice, in 2015, in October 2020, and again in January 2021, for additional evidence to be forwarded to the DPP's chambers for an indictment to be preferred, but that this evidence was not forwarded as requested by the DPP. Imagine that the man was arrested in 2012, December, and this is 2022, 9 years down the road. The man ain't even committed according to the DPP. The man is not even committed. The DPP wrote to the magistrate for additional information. Clear that the magistrate did not respond. And this thing, so what happened to the checks and balances in this system? And I have the questionnaire to ask, I said the fact that the DPP is saying that the magistrate was written to in 2021 suggests that the person was on the bench at that time, last year. So who is this magistrate? What are what is the process? I know there's no Judicial Service Commission, but do we allow this type of travesty, this type of injustice to go unpunished? Mr. Conway, let me hear you on it, man.
It stinks to high heaven. All these years there and not committed. I can't imagine the magistrate writing 3 times and no action, but you mentioned maybe there's no Judicial Service Commission or no other constitutional body to deal with a magistrate who is not complying with the DPP. And Paul, when I'm no, the other day, Attorney General said I'm no lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not professing to be a lawyer, but I have common sense. No,
which is not so common. Which is not so common. What you have?
If among attorney generals is not common too.
Well said. Well said.
Now, the thing is that if the DPP is saying that the man was not indicted, how come the judge could have dealt with the matter? It means that he wasn't properly before the judge.
That baffled me too. That needs some explaining, because I would have thought that the man would have gone to the It would have gone up to the High Court after the indictment would have been prepared. Because again, we got to explain, because we have people here who are not perhaps worse. But once he was charged, he would have gone through a preliminary inquiry at the magistrate court. According to the records, that finished 3 years after, in 2015. Now, once the preliminary inquiry is finished, then the papers, as we say, the deposition, they are sent to the DPP, and it's on that basis the DPP will commit to stand at the High Court. Now, the DPP is saying that when they receive, or when the DPP's chamber received the deposition, there was some deficiency. So they wrote to the magistrate for something, and apparently that is what happened. They wrote, and nothing was sent, and they write again 5 years after, and they write again so they just writing. In the meanwhile, this man is sitting in the prison languishing, and the man has a story. The man has a very sad story, because the whole life is upended. Man, the man from Region 9, that is Lethem area. So the judge had to even make order for them to get him back to where he lives. The man said he got a young and no clothes, young and nothing, he know nobody, apparently, and then he has some health issues now. It's a very, very, very sad story. And what is going to happen? Maybe at some stage you're going to bring a lawsuit against the government, and then somebody going to award you some $2 million or $3 million. That is what is likely to happen. But it's very, very sad. And I recall, and UTC too may recall, that some months ago, when they had the Colin Bailey matter, the judge did remark, or somebody, I shouldn't say the judge because I'm not absolutely sure it was the judge who made that remark, but somebody remarked that they were aware that similar matters like the Colin Bailey. Remember, Colin Bailey is the man who was charged or indicted for killing his wife, and at the end of the whole process, it was said in court and agreed by the prosecution that there was never ever any evidence against this man. This is the Colin Bailey matter. Since Colin Bailey, and this is less than a year ago, we have had the case with the man who was alleged to have killed Branch, the teacher Branch, somewhere in I can't remember the exact area in Georgetown. Yeah. And then we had more recently this matter with one of the guys who was there on TV complaining that he spent how many years in jail and he was released because after 2-3 trials, no evidence. And here now,
two colors.
You have the two colors incident. And here now you have another case. You have another case where a man spent 9 years on remand. 9 years, my brother, 9 years on remand. And according to the DPP, not even indicted. She did not even prepare the indictment. So how this man in jail for all this time? How this man spending 9 years? And the judge made the point, I think when it was computed, the 9 years that he spent would amounted to something like about 13 years.
13 years, yeah.
Prison sentence, because I know prison sentence, a year is 9 months. So he would have been about 13 years prison time. This man is in there. This man is in there for about 13 years prison time, 9 years actual time. See, let me hear you on it some more, man.
Well, criminal justice system has a rigorous standard, eh? Proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Let's go back to the magistrate's court. When those matters are being prosecuted, and if the magistrate find that there is a prima facie case, a case to go before the judge, as the case may be, made a recommendation, the police or whoever is the prosecutor will be required to prepare the documents, resume of proceedings, the committal papers, and send it to the DPP. The DPP has the supreme authority to handle those matters. And if, for chance, the DPP sees something is wrong, like happened in the recent case under review, send it back to the magistrate to do certain things, or so that things could be done. But if there is doubt, the DPP ought not to commit if there's doubt. Null pros. Stop it there and then.
Exactly. That is my contention.
Not to say to a magistrate or a judge or a jury to deal with it. You are the supreme authority. Stop it there. You don't have proof beyond a reasonable doubt. You wonder how all those cases reach up, and then the prosecutor going to say, we don't have any evidence there. Stop it and don't send it to a judge or a jury to decide it. That is
I agree, because let me if we adjust this case. This man is charged in 2012. The preliminary inquiry concluded in 2015. The DPP is saying that in sometime after 2017 or something like that. The magistrate was written to. Now, if you write to the magistrate 5 years after the man is committed and you ain't getting any feedback from the magistrate, you wrote again in 2020, you wrote again in 2021. So what are you waiting for? Why couldn't this matter have been null pros? Anyone I suspect reviewing that would have agreed that there was justification for discontinue the proceedings. And we noted in recent times, many proceedings have been discontinued. Why we did not discontinue the proceedings against Mr. Jones, I think his name is. So it goes to show that different strokes, different folks. That is all I can say. Different strokes, different folks. But this is an egregious miscarriage of justice. 9 years on remand, and then the man is set free. His whole life upended. And here again, remember, the gentleman from that place like to talk about the rule of law. Here is not, we're not debating whether he's guilty or not. But remember, the standard is that you are innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
You are innocent. So this, for all intent, is an innocent man. Is an innocent man. Another innocent man that Billy Joel sing about. Right? That's a nice song, Innocent Man. We talk about this is an innocent man who is caught up in the system. And because of the inefficiency of forces in the system, he had to spend 9 years on remand. 9 years on remand. I want people to think about that. I want people to think about that. And so often we say, you're unfortunate. Yeah, you're unfortunate. But then who feels it, knows it. Who feels it, knows it. Imagine that happened to someone of your relatives, someone of your family. Imagine it happens to you. And so therefore, I believe that's the reason why when these things occur, we should all speak out. And when we speak out about it, we're not attacking individuals. I am not attacking individuals. I am saying that something is wrong with a system that allows a person to be in prison for 9 years on remand. And then Saturday, when the DBP issued a statement to say, oh, well, the man was never indicted. That is an indictment against on the justice system. That is an indictment on the justice system. Mr. Conway?
Oh, Paul, you got to realize that the man is just an humble Amerindian, a humble citizen. He's not a politician. He's not a Mike Washington. He's not a Afron Ali. He's not a Anil Nandalal. He's not a Bar Jagdeo, so that they can null pros them.
But it's really sad. That when I read that matter, I was touched. I was touched by it because I said, look, a poor man, look what happened to him. Look what happened. And again, as we say, if it is that he had committed the offense, the system put him through the system. If he's found guilty, he's found guilty and sentenced. But to have him on remand for that length of time, 9 years, is really, really, really sad. Really, really. And I would hope that these organizations, they have many organizations that tell yourself the man was dressed up half naked in the parliament. These are issues that you should really take up because it's one of his brother. They should take up these issues. You have a lot of other organizations that come up and say they are representing the Human Rights Association should take it up. Because the fact that the judge intervened and released the man should not mean that the matter ends there. Should not mean that the matter ends there. People should be asked to explain in more detail. People should be asked to explain in more detail, and condign action should be taken against those found negligent in this matter. Action should be taken against those persons. Do you have anything else you want to say about this?
Yeah, Paul. I just coming back when we used to do management and decision making, that you send out an order, clear up and return file by X time or Y time. That you put a controlling mechanism in it. Not just clear up this. Return file by so and so time. And you have a BU system that you check, today is the 19th or today is the 20th and this file hasn't come, that you take action to make sure that it's done. I could always remember Larry Lewis. He was always my commission and always be my commission. The controlling mechanism in when you passing on decisions.
Yeah, but TC, you made a good point about BU. I a few years ago I interacted with the people there and asked them about BU. They don't get a clue what BU is, They don't have a clue that what a BU is. And again, for those who are listening, I want to learn. And the BU system is where BU is really there to be brought up. This matter is to be brought up again. So if the matter occurs, you deal with a file today, you send it out, and you say BU on August the 15th, as the case may be. And there was a diary where they're going to keep record of all the dates so matters to be brought up. So it never escaped anyone. It never escaped. But what happened now, all of these things are falling by the wayside because the BU system has broken down. And I want to say to them, now that you have computers and all this technology, it should be even easier to keep track of these matters, and nothing should fall by the wayside. It should be easier to keep track of. Now, in closing, CC, let me say this as I want to close. I looked at the thing yesterday. You know, as I said, these people come up with all sorts of sloganeering and all sorts of things to try to please the public. Not so long ago, it was something last year, the police traffic department come up with this idea where they will put traffic ranks on ladder around Georgetown. What has become of that arrangement? Do you know?
Well, I'm not seeing the ladders. I don't know.
Because my thing at the time was there's no way anybody getting me to climb on that ladder. That thing looks so dangerous. You have a ladder in the middle of the road. The policeman was expected to stand on top of the ladder, and then the direct traffic, because I think the rationale was that he would be easier seen by the drivers, and he would be able to see them easier too. Well, buddy boy, with them dangerous drivers you get around the place, there's no way they going up. Next thing you know, man, showing chapters, and you got to leave jumping deliberately and wickedly. Them wicked drivers coming close to you and get you jumping off and laughing. There's no way they going on that. Another
Paul,
matter, you know,
Paul,
I have been saying, go ahead.
Perhaps somebody complained to the Ministry of Labor about occupational health and safety, you know, so they stop it.
Well, because that was definitely occupational health and safety matter. You put policemen in the ladder, in the middle of the road, you get motorcyclists, you get minibus drivers, you get air car, private car, you get donkey car, everything passing that man there. But it is a dangerous situation. So it looks as though they may have rethink it. Let's hope so. The next thing that we have been lamenting the fact that a lot of these matters come up and then they just die a natural death. You don't hear about them. A lot of very important matter. You had the Orange Boston matter. You had the Bacchus matter. I understand one of the persons might have passed through court yesterday or sometime. But these things keep just come off the radar. They come off the radar. And there was a matter with a PS at the Armorial Ministry that caught in a sting operation. Nothing. Now, let me end by updating people. You know, we got technical time this morning because I want to update persons on the matters before the court. Let me first give you an update on the matter of the Police Service Commission. Matter of the Police Service Commission came up last week, and before Justice Gino Prasad, and they had put it off. They put it off for the 22nd because the Attorney General, if you recall, had moved to the full court to seek leave to appeal the full court decision to the appeal court. Because what happens, and quickly, the matter went before Justice Gino Prasad. Justice Gino Prasad ruled that the matter should continue and Paul Slow should be substituted in the place and stead of the Police Service Commission. The Attorney General appealed that to the full court. The full court upheld the decision of Justice Gino Prasad, but said that instead of substituting Paul Slow in the place and stead of the Police Service Commission, Paul Slow should be added as a party. So Paul Slow is added as a party. Now the Attorney General went to the same full court to seek leave of the full court to appeal that decision to the appeal court. And the full court denied him that permission. Basically, you read the thing, the full court said, look, there's nothing, no issue of law here to discuss and to appeal. So the matter is now back before Justice Gino Prasad and it is scheduled for this Friday the 22nd. I have to check the time. I think it's 1:30, but I'm not sure. So the matter comes up again where Justice Gino Prasad will now, I suspect, deal with the substantive matter, which is whether the president acted constitutionally when he suspended the Police Service Commission on the 16th of June, 2021. Now, intertwined with that is the application that was made for a stay, for an injunction against the very commission to prevent them from proceeding with the promotion. You know, they went ahead with that. So we're going to hear what happens there. Then this morning, before the Chief Justice, the matter involving the acting appointment of the acting commissioner was heard. I missed that because I thought it was this afternoon. So that was heard at 10 o'clock this morning. And so therefore, listen out to hear what transpired there. I think the arguments were to be made then, whether there was indeed any situation that warrants the use of the doctrine of necessity to appoint the acting commissioner. So those matters are in the court system. You would have yesterday too. I guess many of you would have seen in the paper that the election petition matter came up, the one before the CCJ, and that was dealt with yesterday. The CCJ is to make a decision in that and sometime soon. Now, by the time we meet next week, I should have a better update on the Police Service Commission matter and the challenge to the appointment of the commissioner for you. So it is already, 1.5 hour, 1 hour and 24 minutes. I don't want to take much more of your time. I want to invite Mr. Conway to make any closing remarks. CC, closing remarks.
No, I don't want to take much more of your time, Paul, or our time. You know, we have gone a long way, but next week we'll deal with some other burning issues.
Right, folks. Thank you much for your attention. I had a good morning because as it is now, I'm sweating. I had a very good morning. Was very animated at times. But some of these issues, I think, will rile you up. And so, therefore, I want to thank you for your patience. I want to thank you for your attention. I want to thank you for your support. And, you are the ones who are inspiring me to continue to spread the word, to teach the police ranks who are there, to educate and to inform members of the public. And we will continue to do so. I am grateful to some of the comments made in respect to the letter about the Felix Austin Police College. I look at some of the comments from time to time. I don't want to attack anyone. That is never my intention. But Gary, the point that you made about cashier and out of the building, it all depends on how the cashier is located, you know. It all depends on how the place is constructed, because you can very well get a conviction once the person, I'll be referring it to the man who picking up the chocolate. You can very well get a conviction after he passes through the cashier, because he might be able to prove that after having passed the cashier, there was no intention to pay, because there's no second place to pay. You have to pay at the cashier. But I agree with you that you have a stronger case when he exits the building. But I'm just saying that even before he exits the building, depending on how the building is located, you might very well be able to build a case of simple larceny against the person. So I like the interaction, because the interaction causes you to think and causes you, as I say, I'm not fighting against anyone. I'm just trying to inform and trying to educate. I am happy when people make these observations so that you can clarify issues and so on. Again, I say people have been reaching out. People have been reaching out all the time to say how informative they have found this program. Police ranks have been reaching out, even though some of them will tell you that they are afraid to watch the program. But I encourage people to go onto YouTube. You don't have to watch when you are on duty. You have your own time. Watch in your own time. And all the episodes are there. And all the episodes, I'm sure, have issues that can edify and educate you. And you should do that. Do that. And I'm always available. Reach out. Mr. Conway is always available. Reach out to us if you want us to address any particular issue, either on the program or one-on-one directly. We are going to be willing to do so. And we are pro-police. Let me say this. Mr. Conway said it over and over. I have said it over and over. I am pro-police. I'm not against the police. I'm against incompetence and corruption. That is what I'm against. And don't bother with what some of the amphibians will come to say about talking about incompetence during this particular time. And the incompetence is there. However, as we have pointed out, it is even worse now. It is worse now. And therefore, we feel obliged to make sure that we pass on the experience that we would have gained over the years to persons who are interested, especially the younger ones in the force. Because remember, for the past 2 years or so, they have not had any training in service or other training in the police force, so there's that deficiency. Many persons are not going to go and pick up books and read. They depend on persons to tell them what is going on. Let me close by thanking you once again. I'd say, remind you that COVID is real and that you should take all the necessary precautions to protect yourselves at all times. And for now, bye. Until next week, Wednesday, God's willing. At 11 o'clock, we'll be here again for another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. God bless and see you then.